everybody? You are now tuned in to StarCHaser Central, a podcast about Charles Hampton music, moments, and everything in between. And as always, I'm Stik Braxton.
And as always, I'm Mike D. Jackson, aka Mr. Maker Smile.
Okay.
It
Uh, your weekend must have been okay. How are you doing?
was actually all right. Only reason I brought that up because someone brought it up last weekend. You remember the dude Deaf Greg on Twitter?
Sounds familiar.
So he was like one of those really annoying accounts. The dude was talking about, yes, I'm deaf. And anytime he tweeted something, I'm trying to think of all the accounts. It was like the Dory account, the fake Will Ferrell account. They used to make like the most basic of tweets of all time. He was
Yeah.
one of those people. And then people say, yo, this motherfucker's not even deaf. And then he made a video saying like he was deaf and doing sign language, and people hated him, but he might not have actually been deaf. I don't know. But it was just something that reminded me. I'm like, bro, like, how can you, because that was his nickname, Mr. Make Her Smile. I'm like, how the fuck are you making my girl smile? You ain't making my girl smile. Fuck no, dude.
I mean, maybe he is though. Maybe he does like the sign language thing, and then yeah.
I ain't trying to hear that. He's not trying to hear it either because never mind. Never mind.
Wow, that's crazy.
No, I'm allowed to say that because I actually have a deaf mute friend. Dead serious. I have a friend that's
That
deaf mute.
sounds worse. You sound like those white people that be like, "Yo, I got a black friend." That's exactly
No,
what you sound like right
no, it's not. No, it's not. Because here's the thing. When my boy Wayne, shout out to Wayne, even though he's whatever. No, seriously. The reason why it's important because with him, he actually would get mad when people like would try to treat him different. Like he's like, seriously, like, yo, treat me like everybody else. Like he's believe it or not, he's someone that could drive a car. He could drive a car. It's weird getting in the car with him because there's no radio on. You just hear him breathing like,
Yeah.
but other than that, normal person, you just can't hear. That's serious.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's the importance of just to make sure you treat people with the same type of respect or whatever. Just because they got different challenges, don't mean they're not real people, man.
yeah, he's not stupid. He just can't hear.
Yeah, that's our positive reinforcement for the day. Uh, but we are here, man. New episode. Um, it's still March, so we're just doing the two-part kind of thing for the episodes. We will have the results of the second round of the March Madness tournament later on. But first, we have a tape review, and I'm excited. This is one that I haven't heard, and I think it might like shock some people, I guess, because it's very popular. I'm told. We're reviewing Catholic Illuminati, and make sure I'm saying this right. Papal infallibility.
that's correct. I actually forgot that you said you haven't heard this tape, but yes, I also call it Catholic Illuminati 1, but yes, Papal Infallibility. So this tape came out in February or March of 2013. There's a little discrepancy on that because the one thing that I'm glad is still up is the Bandcamp. This is one of the first projects Charles came out with where he was like, hey, you guys want to, show love and pay for an actual project before Hamilton Charles or anything like that. There was this tape, the Catholic Illuminati tape. So what Charles did was like, hey, 7 songs on here, $7, basically $1 a song, which is very reasonable. If you wanted to donate more, you could donate more. One thing I was a little sad about because I paid for it and I was like, all right, cool. I'm actually able to give Charles some money. And then he was like, well, this is actually not going to me. This is actually going to Christina. So I'm like, all right, well, I paid for it to show love. So show on love. Weird thing though, on the Bandcamp, it says it came out in March, but on other sites, it says it came out like late February. So either way, February, March 2013 is when it came out.
Okay. Yeah. So just some transparency for me. Before I ask you how you felt when you listened to it. I was still listening to Charles's music around this time. In and out kind of. But titles mean a lot to me. So like, if you name something certain ways, I will like be cautious about it, just because I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna listen to this, just because I don't want to know where he's gonna take me down this road. So seeing first of all Catholic Illuminati, because there's multiple of these, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's actually one that's like really large. Pause. But yeah, that title, I was like, I don't know if I don't know if I'm gonna do that. I don't know if I'm gonna listen to this one, man, because I just, I like Charles. Charles is like one of my favorite, obviously, one of my favorite rappers. So like, I didn't want to listen to anything that might have like swayed me in a certain way.
Right.
Especially during this time where I'm like, I'm not as rabid as a fan as I was back in '08, between '08 and '10, 2010, but still like want to listen to the music. So I kind of like I put it to the side, but now that I have the podcast, I'm not contractually obligated to do it, but it kind of helps. So what
Yeah.
about you, man? How did you feel listening to the tape, man?
So two things I want to bring up: the art cover and the actual, tape itself. So first time I'm hearing it, I'm like, all right. So paid $7 for it. Hopefully I do like it. If not, still, it's money, that Charles can use,
Hmm.
or I thought, or for Christina, whoever.
Hmm.
So played it. I'm listening to it. I'm like, all right. I'm kind of on the fence because when it first starts, and we'll talk about it further on. When it first starts, I'm like, I don't know.
Hmm.
$7, it's already gone. But
Hmm.
then near the end, I'm like, you know what? I do like it. It's pretty cool. It's different. So overall, I would say like back then when I first heard it, I did like it. I'm like, hey, the $7 was put to good use for Charles or Christina, and also put to good use for me being like, hey, I actually provided money to a project that I can say I liked, and it benefited. Win-win situation for that. The art cover. So, like you said, the whole thing about there's people that, are very particular when it comes to church, any type of blasphemy, any type of artistry, so you gotta tread lightly with everyone. I know how you feel because of some things you said recently, and I understand your situation. So with me, when I looked at the art cover, I'm like, man, there's gonna be some people that will feel a certain way. So I'm assuming it's a pope that has a chalice, and then the chalice has AIDS written on it, and that that right there, there's some things that get talked about with the church and
Hmm.
some practices that aren't cool, So it's like, man. And then under his robe, he has like kids that I won't say they're hiding, they're being hidden maybe because it looks
Hmm.
like they're crying. And regardless of how people want to feel about that, those are real situations that have happened to people. So it's a thing of like, hey, regardless if this has happened to Charles or not, or maybe someone he knows or someone we know, these are situations that do need to be talked about. So I looked up the word papal infallibility and all that, and it's the whole thing about the Pope has can't be wrong, or there's no wrongdoing the Pope can do.
Hmm.
And in that world, yeah, that's a thing. But I'll say in the real world, anyone can be wrong. Anyone can do wrong. So it's definitely something that's a conversation starter, something that can really get people talking, and it brings up the discussion about what's really going on in the church, outside of the church, in people's religion and not, because we have people fighting for their own religions, uh, being disrespectful against other religions and whatnot. So it's definitely a lot to talk about, even just from the artwork, just from that.
Yeah, it's a strong like I said, it's a strong conversation starter. From a personal standpoint, it's a strong cover for me because like you said, it's you can see all the different things on there that if you look past your religious, whatever, right?
Right.
Um, there are things here that, you know, we have seen in the news or whatever, or get swept under the rug after they've been revealed or whatever. Um, yeah, yeah. And I assume like you would think that is that wine or is that blood out in the chalice, obviously. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of things here. It's a as far as like an art piece, it's a great cover. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Um, and you got to think too, just with Charles's like upbringing and some of the things that he struggled with, as a kid growing up or whatever that we would find out later. It may not directly be tied to the church, but it may be related to people who went to church or just the notion of that a bit of that believability that because it's an adult, they can't be wrong and you can't believe a child versus you know what I'm saying? So it's like it's a lot of things you can kind of like directions you can go with the conversation. And even though back then, maybe seeing that cover, maybe seeing that title, I would have been pushed away from it. I'm a little bit older now, so like, I've always been logical, but my logic is even like more developed. So it's like I can see why he would do this, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things for me, like not to go too far into like my own beliefs and whatnot. You know, I believe in God and whatnot. I don't really go to church like that often, but you know, I have my own relationship with God and everything. So I don't knock anyone that doesn't. If other people believe in other things, I'm like, hey, you know, there's nothing wrong with that too. So I'm one of those people where it's like believe in what you want to believe as long as it's not hurting anybody. Because at the same time, there's people that also believe in God but have a very different standpoint than I do. And I'm like, that's not cool either. So as long as you're not hurting anybody, you're praying to who you pray, and you know you're not doing anything super messed up, I think it's like that's completely fine as long as it's guiding you to the light and the right way of living. That's what's up. So
Yeah, but let's get to the music, man. That's what we really want to talk about. With that being said, the tape opens with him, um, which could be kind of like a double entendre if you really think about it. Him, like the actual song.
yeah.
Um, Now I am gonna say that when we decided the tape, you said there was a song that if I didn't like it, there's something wrong with me. So I'm gonna wait till you let me know when we get to that song, and then we can talk about it. But how did you feel about this one?
So the song starts off, you hear the beat and whatnot, and this is like Charles is chopping. This is like
Mhm,
when Charles, not saying Charles wasn't chopping before, but like you hear the beat just coming in and he's chopping it so much. And it's one of those things where you're like, all right, so all right, he's chopping it. How is he going to like jump on the song? Because this is an interesting way.
mhm,
Song, I'll say the beat's kind of bizarre, but it's like an interesting way of how he's doing it because it's one of those things you're just like, how's this coming together? Then you hear him get on there,
mhm,
and it's one of those things where it's either you like it or you don't. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where like, especially this is gonna be the first song. For some people, they might be like turned off already, like, man, yeah, I'm good. I'm good on this. But hearing it at first, I'm like, all right. I'm like, I'm not gonna say nothing. I'm just gonna vibe with it, just listen to it. And it took a little while, but like throughout the song, listening to it, I'm like, I like where he's going with it, you know?
mhm,
So I was cool with it. Later on, then he starts to add like some kicks and some drums in there. So it's kind of like him painting the picture, but it doesn't like fully go on for most of the song. It's just, it's a very interesting type beat. The hook's pretty interesting because say I can't stand him, but then again, and you wonder, okay, well, who is the him he's talking about? Because you could be like, all right, maybe he's talking to himself in the mirror, seeing what he has seen as like, I don't like who I am or who I've been.
mhm,
And maybe I want to change that, or maybe I can't change that. At the same time, he could be talking about someone else. We talked about the art cover. Maybe he's talking about like maybe the church or maybe some type of figure of speech. Not sure, but it's one of those things where up to interpretation. It's very interesting. I like the song overall, though. It's one of those things where, like I said, either you like it or you don't, and it's very understandable if you don't. But for me, I'm like, it took me a little while because, like I said, I had to just keep listening to it. But within the first one or two times, I'm like, I gotta listen to it again. I gotta listen to it again, and I'm like, yeah, I like it overall. I like the song.
30, growing as a man in a planet of them are women. So to them, I'm just him. I can't stand them. It's them again, but I am them. Then again,
I would say if I had listened to this back then, I probably would have been upset because that sample is like one of my favorite. Um, he samples that a lot actually, if we really think about it.
I was gonna say that because he mentions Caldwell, you know, Do
Yeah,
for Love. Yeah, he
yeah,
mentions him a lot in certain songs. I'm not sure if
yeah.
that's you know, just his favorite song, but it's a good song though. It's a good song.
It's a classic. So I would have probably been I probably would have been upset probably back then. But now listening today, I liked it instantly, honestly. Like from jump. Like you said, this is heavy. This is like that big chop era where he's like really again, we know that Charles chops, and that's what he does, or whatever. But like this is when if you were used to some of his older stuff, and this is where it's like he's changing it up, like he's really getting real chop heavy. So the chops are major, but the actual beat is very minimalistic for the first 2 to 3 minutes, which I liked. I liked how it was kind of subdued and kind of kind of like low, like it maintained a certain level of, whatever. Um, I thought the hook was great. I like how you said that, he said, I can't stand him. But I think later in the thing, he said, I am him. So it's like this balance of, like you said, I don't like who I see in the mirror. Or I don't like who I've been. I'm trying to change, whatever. Um, Now you said how they added like the kicks and stuff at the drum kicks at the end. I'm gonna be honest. Personally, I could have did without them. I like the minimalistic thing. Like I think that was a better vibe than the end. Nothing wrong with it, but I do like the first 2.5 3 minutes. Um, but overall, I like the song. I thought it was a good way to start the tape. Honestly,
Nice.
yeah.
It's crazy because another thing, because we talk about with that song, the sample, in the original song, that one part was like, what is wrong with me? Because,
Hmm.
obviously you're talking about what you would do and wouldn't do for love. But then in Charles, when he uses it near the end of the song, you just keep hearing the what is wrong with me.
Hmm.
And then it's crazy how a sample can get flipped and then it just turns on its head and it's something completely different. Because
Hmm.
in this part of this, in Charles' song, he's talking about, he can't stand him. Then again, I am him. And then I just imagine, if you just like went through some shit and then, you're looking at yourself in the mirror, you're just like, what is wrong with me? It's just replaying over and over in
Yeah.
your head. And I've had a moment or two like that before. It's like, yo, what have I done? Like, what the fuck is going on? So it's I'm glad you said that, you were cool with the first 2 3 minutes, because when he first added the kicks and drums in, but he took it away, it was cool. At the
Mhm.
end, he adds it just fully complete. But like you said, I think it was better without it. Like when he would add it in and out, cool. But it's still a good song. Still like it.
Yeah, for sure. Follow that up with her. Um, uh, it's cool. It's good. I like it. Now that you've told me the story about Christina, are we thinking this might be about her? Or maybe it's about no, because he dated her later, right? He dated what's the girl name that we don't necessarily enjoy?
But yes,
Yeah, that's
that
what
was yeah, that was
yeah, that was later.
down the
That was
road.
later.
That was down the road.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if this is about Christina or maybe somebody else. But the record itself is good. I like the hook a lot. Um, yeah, it's a good beat as well. Not I don't necessarily like it better than him, but it's a good record. How about you?
Good song. Chill vibe to it. Definitely different than him. So it's one of those things. Like, okay, a little bit different. One of the things I noticed, Charles mentions it in him, and also he mentions it in this song, "Her," where at one point he says, "I'm almost 30," and I had to backtrack because obviously now we're all 30 plus.
Mm,
But at the backtrack, I'm like, if this came out in 2013, I would have been turning 24. Charles would have been 25. You know what I mean?
mm,
So 24, 25. And I'm thinking in my head, like, all right, so at that point, I know for me when I turned 25 is that whole like, all right, 5 years till 30, man. So whatever you're doing, you gotta up the ante, you gotta
yeah.
get it together. Whatever you're thinking, like this is, you have to get this before 30. You have to do
Yeah.
this before 30. You have to blah blah blah. You know what I mean? And there's some of those things you're not going to be able to do because it's not in your control. So it made me wonder. Like, I wonder what was he going through? What was he going through technically? Because when he first came out, 1920, you're a young kid. Oh, I got the world, I got the world right in my eyes, a world in my hands, all that type of stuff. And then you're like, oh man, like, am I running out of time? Like, man, I'm about to be the old guy now, even though that's 25, 24 is not old, but you know how people think, especially then, even now. But another thing I thought about, because talking about her and with this relationship, sound like it didn't work as well as he thought it was going to.
Mm,
I do wonder who her is, who she is supposed to be. Definitely at this point in time, I think him and Christina were on and off, but I'm not sure if it's actually about her.
mm.
But I do know, like I said, that money did go to her because just to help her out with some stuff, whatever. So probably was about her. Not sure though, but good song. I like the song.
Yeah, it's interesting. Again, Charles has had a lot of different, or he's mentioned a lot of different women throughout the years, right? And so it's kind of hard to keep in timeline who, when, and who he's with at the time or whatever. But yeah, it does seem like that relationship didn't maybe go as well as he thought or thought it would. Um, but such is the breaks as we all learn along the lines. Sin is up next. Your
So
thoughts?
so with Sin, I believe that's Stevie Wonder in the background and whatnot. Um, so how I feel about this song, it has like, and we said it before, it has that groove to it, that bounce to it, whatever. So with me, by this time of the tape, I'm like, all right, whatever I thought this tape was going to be, I don't think it is going to be what I thought,
Mhm.
in a good way, where I was like, it's not going to be like too religious. I did notice
Mhm.
around this time, like the names of the songs and whatnot, him, her, sin, and whatnot.
Yeah.
Um, I like the song, like the beat. Uh, um, it's overall good verses, good hook. It sounds just like a regular song, and I just wasn't expecting that from this song and maybe from the title. But um, it's a solid song. This is one of the songs where I feel that most people, if they weren't picking up on it before, they definitely would be vibing with this one. So I like the song.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm not
Oh,
a I'm not a huge fan of this one. Like it's okay if it came on, I'd listen to it. If there was like a Charles Hamilton set on, just playing in the background or whatever, I wouldn't turn it, I don't think. Unless I was like really paying attention. It's like, it would depend on the songs beforehand. Like if it was like too slow or like certain like BPM I was looking for, I'd probably turn it to kind of switch things up. But yeah, it was okay. It didn't really blow me away. Um I think you're right. I think that with a name like that, I probably would have anticipated something a little harder. You know what I'm saying? Something of like a sunbathing, like that kind of hard type of beat, or like a reminder, something along those lines. Like, something really aggressive, I guess. And it was different. It was definitely the opposite of what I thought. So, but it's okay at best. Um, Confession.
I got this glass past the magic, or just whisper away. Turn the beat up. If it's Jack or Jamaris, can you whistle away? If the sun has a moonlight, this the shine. This the shine. Get up.
with Confession, I feel this song is underrated. When I hear people talk about this project, I really don't hear people talk about this one as much. There's like two or three of the songs I hear people talk about the most, but this one I don't really hear people talk about as much. I love the hook on it. I love the bars on it. The vibe overall, I like it. I think it should be talked about more. Or maybe I'm just not hearing enough people talk about it, especially at that time when it first came out. I'm not sure who has heard it since then, but I remember when this first came out, I didn't hear everyone talking about this song, but I
Mm.
didn't hear anything like negative about it. But I feel like it deserves a little bit more love. But I like the song a little bit more than some of the others so far. But I think for me, with the project, it's like songs I'm like, okay, I'm liking this a little bit better, liking this a little bit better. So it's a steady climb for me so far. I'm liking songs more and more. So I'm like, I'm feeling the tape so far. So
Yeah, it
good
definitely
talk.
seemed like for you, this tape kind of gets better the longer it goes on, right?
Yeah.
Um, for me, this is a good song. This is a good song. Yes, this is a good song. I like it. I'm like you. The beat and is very good. The hook is good. Uh, it kind of gets sandwiched in between two songs that aren't necessarily disappointing, but you kind of expected more from each, and so it kind of maybe gets lost in that translation, and that could be a reason. Because I feel like with the previous song and then the next song, I think they're probably two of the songs that people talked about the most when this tape came out, and so it's like sandwiched right in between those, and so it may not get the shine that it deserves. But I like the song. I think it's good. I think it's a good song.
This is definitely one of them songs that like whenever I talk about this tape, I definitely come back to this one usually first. If I'm not playing it in order,
Mhm.
usually I come back to this song first, Confession. So
Okay. Um, Communion. Now, when communion comes on, the sample,
yes.
You get so excited. Like the 90s kid in you just gets so like, you know what I'm saying? You get because what a career that guy's had. What's his name? What's the name of the actor?
Frankie Muniz.
Frankie Muniz. What a career he's had, by the way. He does a lot of crap. Malcolm in the Middle, a classic. Was it Big Fat Liar, the movie?
Yeah.
Great movie. He's in a band. Like he does like race car driving. No, he
I
does
thought
everything, bro. He's doing side missions at this point. But you hear that sample and you're like, oh, this is gonna be crazy. And then the song plays, and I get disappointed, bro. You know what? I think it's the hook.
okay.
I
I
think
was
it's
going
the
to say
hook.
that. I
Yeah,
was going to say that.
yeah, I think it's the hook because I don't know. It doesn't connect with me. I want to like the song so bad. You know, like when you hear a sample and then you hear like some of the verses or whatever, and like, ooh, this is potential. This is potential. And then you hear the hook, you're like, oh, I can't do this because that's a major part of the song. Like I feel like the hook is like, uh, I'm trying to figure out what I'll ask you. You make songs, right? You make a lot of different songs.
Yeah.
What do you think is the foundation of a song? Is it the bars? Is it the beat? Or is it the hook?
It's a little tough because sometimes I think for different songs, there'll be different answers.
Mhm.
So for this is what I'll say, especially when you're sampling a hook. What I normally do if I'm sampling a song, one of the things I first would do was like I'd never sample the actual chorus of a original song, or at least I
Mhm.
try not to. And if I do, I'm going to make my hook or chorus pretty similar to that hook or chorus. So I know what you mean. My thing is like for this song, I'm cool with the song. It's okay.
Mhm.
I think the issue with the hook is that, like you said, we all think about Malcolm in the Middle, the theme song and whatnot. And the funny thing is for me, I remember when I heard that song and then I heard the real song, and I'm like, oh wait, a band actually made this like a regular song.
Yeah.
I thought they just made that for the show.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was an actual song. I'm like, oh, and I remember like listening to the rest of the song and being like, okay,
Yeah.
and that's just what it is because it's just like with anything else like TikTok when people say, oh man, that 30 seconds was great, then you hear the rest of the song, you're like, all right, play the hook
Right.
again,
Yeah.
play the hook again, play the chorus again. So I think no matter what, some people are just going to get disappointed or, expectations brought down a little bit lower just because of that. Because you're just thinking of the you're not the boss of me now. You're just
Mhm.
thinking of that. So like that's what you're thinking of. And then you have Charles talking about freaks playing with my Jimmy. Jimmy. I think it's funny. It's a little
Yeah.
humorous and whatnot. So I had fun with it. But I see what goes on with that. So even with me, I try to be careful with that because if people are already conditioned to something, then if you don't deliver something similar, they're just gonna it's gonna fall flat for some people. Overall, I think the song's okay. I'm all right with it, but I do see the standpoint of that where someone could be like, ah man, I expected more. I like what he did with the sample though, and with the verses. It's one of those things where Charles usually does well with the rock and rap,
Mhm.
with the combination of it. So overall, I'm cool with it.
Yeah, and I think just using that sample too kind of plays into the whole papal thing and how, the Pope is kind of like the end all be all. So he's kind of technically quote unquote the boss. And in this situation, if you play the song right, you're not the boss of me. I think people I okay. How can I put this nicely? I don't mind people religious people don't bother me, right? Like
Yeah,
you have religion. I think that's good. All religion is just having faith in something. You know what I'm saying? Like that's we should all have faith in something. That's cool. I don't like people who make religion their personality.
yeah,
That's my issue. Like don't make everything in your life completely surrounded about, religion. Like that's, do other things. You can still be that person, but just do other things. And don't be afraid to go outside the box just because of, you know what I'm saying? So that's a tangent. The song is cool. The song is no, the song is I want it more from the song. The bars are good. The sample is good. The hook just throws me off, and I can't get beyond that for me.
All right, I'll get you.
He does get you back immediately though with Catholic guitarists. I like that song. I like that song a lot. So, you know,
So, another thing, and I don't know if Charles did this on purpose. So with this song, the California, here we come, that remind me of another TV show, and I was like, where did I hear this from? And I remember it was the OC.
You watching the
Yeah,
OC?
listen, I watched it for the women on there. Come on, man,
That's
watch
fair.
it.
It's fine.
Yeah, thank you,
Uh,
because shows like that, Laguna Beach, like I really didn't watch it for the plot, but I'm like, oh.
no, you watch for the plot. The plot with the women.
They had some nice plot points, if you
Yeah,
will.
yeah, yeah. Facts.
Nah, but for real, it's one of those things because it was so interesting because people that live in those places, the OC, Laguna Beach, all that, even when you watch those shows, it's like, man, like they are living a life. They're like little 17, 18-year-olds, just like, oh, my dad just bought me this, my mom bought me this. Oh my God. Like they live a completely different lifestyle. And like everyone talks about places like California, like it's heaven. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? But anyway, with this, Charles flipped it real nice, flipped the
yep.
beat real nice and whatnot. He talked about some of the stuff that he wanted to talk about. I know on the hook he says, I'm just a dirty white boy,
Mm,
but bringing it right back. And it's one of those things where like when you think about shows like that, you don't see dirty white boys. You don't see like bums or homeless people and whatnot. There are homeless people in those areas. Maybe just you don't see them.
right.
But what Charles did with it, he had the aggression, he had the bars in there, nice hook. Like I said, I like how he flipped the song. Overall, real good song. I like it.
Yeah, yeah. I agree with you. Nothing really different from what you're saying. Um, does mention that it's like the second time in a few tapes where he's mentioned that he's a white boy, but I feel like it's just like in the first one, it was about just being an outcast in an all black, you know what I'm saying, in a very predominantly black situation, right? Um, this one, I can see dirty white boy just meaning like black though. You know what I'm saying? Just in a different way. Just, like you said, Laguna Beach, OC, those shows were very pale.
Yes.
They were very pale. Very, very rarely did you see any type of like seasoning inside that show. Everyone there was just boiling chicken. I'll put it to you that way. So, you know what I'm saying? So so I can see him that's just being the reference that he's kind of making there. But yeah, I like that song. Like I said, the flip is perfect. And yeah, it's a good song. Um, so for you, like you said, the album kind of gets better as it goes along. I'm more of this is a very great grand opening, grand closing type of song because we end the thing with Starlight. Um, fantastic,
Here,
fantastic song.
here we are.
Yeah,
This is the song I was telling you about, and I'm gonna let you finish. This is the song I was telling you about. If you don't like this song, there's something wrong with you because this is the song that everyone talks about. This is the
yeah,
song everyone's just like, man, did you hear this tape? Someone be like, oh well, no. They say, all right, well, listen to Starlight, and then
yeah.
come back to the tape. But I'll let you go ahead.
I guess my first question to you is: does this sound like this was made during the same time period?
You mean all these songs together? Like
Yes. Because if I had to pick a song where like this sound like this was made in a different time period, this would be the one.
for me, I have to say yes, just because, and it technically doesn't matter, but for me, I'm gonna say yes because, like I said, I heard the tape when it first came out, so I was still listening pretty much to like what Charles was coming out with.
Yeah,
Now, does it sound different from some of the other songs? Yeah, I could see that, but overall, I'm like, I know Charles wasn't really at this point in his career, 2012, 2013. He definitely really wasn't stashing songs to be like, all right, this is an older song, or this is something else, and I'll
yeah,
put this on here later because we already seen what happened with I Don't Care,
mhm,
and it doesn't mean classic, where a lot of people were like, "Oh, I want you to rap like this. I want you to rap like that, or I want songs more like this." And
mhm,
Charles was very like, "Nah, this is what I'm doing right now.
mhm.
Let's keep going with it. This is what we're doing right now." You feel me? I can see that being a thing. I'm not sure exactly where his mind frame was when he made the song, but like you said, fantastic, incredible. The replay value on this song, just on this song alone, just very high up there. I don't even know. I literally do not know. It's just one of those things where it's an emotional song, just the hook perfect. I'm like, yeah, this is the one. I,
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say, but it's definitely one of those songs where if someone hasn't heard it, this is definitely a song I'd be like, nah, you definitely need to hear this. This is like, even though I know we didn't put it in the essentials, but I'm like, this is definitely a song that you definitely need to hear by Charles.
Yeah, I feel like if we make like a which we'll probably do later this year, like a hidden gems type of playlist that we'll have, this would definitely make that kind of list. Um it does bring up one of the points that I've always I'm gonna keep doing it because like when it happens, I'm like, why? Why is this here? Like the other six, you're like, you can kind of see why they're together, and then it's just this one, just like randomly off to the side, and like this is good, but why is it connected to this actual tape? I had no problem with it. Don't get me wrong. Like I think this is fantastic. I think this song is it's beautifully written or beautifully done. Um, Again, great hook. The beat is fantastic. My only criticism is too short. Like, give me another minute and a half. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, give me another minute and a half of this song. You know what I'm saying? So, that would probably be my only criticism. But other than that, like, I think it's just fantastic.
Yeah, definitely my favorite song then, still favorite song now. A lot of people's favorite song still,
Mhm.
like you said, even though the song is it's a lengthy song, but there's still, even if you could, I think the only thing you can really do is like, you know what, when the song goes off, play it again
Yep.
and keep it on the same song. It's just the song just repeats again because, like I
Yeah.
said, it's that good of a song, man.
I wondered about you last night. You died the last time I did it. I did you wrong, I admit it. Sold out for a pink fitted. Get it? Sex is a whippet. Haven't seen you in a minute. How you living? You're always on my mind, even if I am tripping. Broken hearts, men. My shit didn't.
Yeah. But yeah, 2024, man, we just listened to Catholic, Illuminati, Papal, Infallibility.
Real quick, hold
Yep,
up,
go ahead.
hold up. So I wanted to at least mention this because
Okay.
I just found this out. So, like I told you guys before, this was on Bandcamp and this came out 2013.
Mhm.
When I was researching this a little bit more, because I was like trying to find anything else I could find around the time, there was one song that popped up, I believe it's called Dylan Klebold,
Mhm.
and this was not on the original list. So maybe Charles, you can explain it because in the beginning of the song, Charles does say papal infallibility. So I'm like, was this a song that was supposed to be on there originally and then you cut it? Because it came out later on. This song, to me, that song doesn't feel like it fits on there at all. It's not actually on the original playlist, but I've seen it on a different playlist on Audio Mac, and someone put it up on YouTube, but when they put it up, it was like a couple years ago, like 2019 or something.
Mhm.
So I'm not sure if that was originally supposed to be on there or not. We're just covering these seven, but at least Charles, you can answer that for us. Like, what was up with that song, Dylan Klebold? I do know he's one of the people that was involved in Columbine, like one of the two guys,
Mhm.
And I know Charles has made some songs with their name in the title, Columbine Gang as like a project and stuff like that. So
Mhm.
I'm not sure if that was supposed to be connected to it or not, but just wanted to put that out in the air. So
Yeah, but as far as rating the tape, man, in 2024, this is your your return listen. How do you feel and what's your rating, man?
So, like I said, when I first heard this, I was, I guess, a little iffy at first because I was like, and I think maybe that had to do with the whole financial thing. I'm like, man, like if this is my future with paying for tapes, am I going to be okay? Or
Mhm.
is this going to like sour my, listening experience with Charles and being like, maybe I shouldn't, be a fan anymore. But I did end up liking the tape when I first had it. Now I still like the tape.
Mhm.
uh I haven't been soured on any songs. Like I like pretty much all the songs. I don't dislike any of the songs more than I did before. If anything, I probably might like them a little bit more with all of them. Overall, Starlight, amazing song. Um, Songs like Confession, really good song. Some of the other songs are pretty good too. Some are a little bit higher than others, but there's not really like a song I'm like, eh. I'm maybe like one. I'm kind of like that, but not really. Overall, I would say it's a solid tape, so I will give it a Bass Sonic.
Okay.
Overall, Bass Sonic, good tape overall. Something that I will always go back and listen to. So I'm like, this is a good tape. I like it. And for my first project to actually pay for, actually try to, show some love, I'm like, good experience overall.
Okay. As someone who this is their first time listening to it, this is a very, from scratch rating for me. Um, it's a it's a it's a tape with a lot of hidden gems. If you're like me, you know what I'm saying. Let's just say I'm speaking to mainly people who are like me who may have never heard the tape. Um, I would say, obviously, we always say listen to all the tapes just to make your own opinion for yourself. Because we don't know what you like, we don't know what your style is like or whatever. Um, but if you're someone like me, I would say go listen to the tape because there are some gems on here that I wish I had heard previously. Like for example, I wish I'd heard him earlier. I like him. Him's a very good record. Starlight obviously is I, I've gone too many years without hearing Starlight somehow, and that's crazy. Um, so stuff like that. Catholic guitarist, her, especially if you're into that type of situation. Um, it's a solid tape, man. Very solid tape. So for me, I'm gonna go with Tails. Um, I feel like, and this might you could correct me if I'm wrong. Is this the more popular Catholic Illuminati, or is the other ones kind of take more precedent?
So this is the first one. The second one was the Infinite Psalms. That was the one that had a million songs on it.
Right.
If there is another one, I have not actually
Okay.
heard that one yet. Or any other ones if there's any other Catholic Illuminati. So I've only heard this original one and then
Yeah.
the one that has a million songs on it. Um, I would I don't know. It depends because when I think for me the more prevalent one is this one, but at the same
Mhm.
time, there's some people that might not have heard this tape and they just think about Infinite Psalms, but there's so many songs on there.
Right.
You know, I actually did the whole due diligence, and I don't know, it probably might have took me like 2 weeks to actually listen to all those songs on Infinite Psalms. Like I
Yeah.
literally like I'm gonna listen to all the A songs and all the B songs, and then tomorrow I'll listen to the C songs and the D songs.
Yeah.
There's people there's probably people that like that tape and haven't even heard all the songs. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So that's up to the actual individual StarCHaser. But for me, I would say this is the prevalent one because it's the first one. It's the one that started it.
Yeah. I think I guess what I great point. I think people probably think of Infinite Songs more only because it has so many songs. It's like a big pack of songs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So that probably I would think that probably gets brought up a little bit more. But I would say that if you want something that's kind of a more concise listen, check out Catholic Illuminati, Papal Infallibility, because there's some good stuff on here, man. I think there's some stuff that you'll actually, that you'll definitely playlist like immediately, especially Starlight. Cannot stress enough that Starlight is a fantastic record.
agreed. Totally agree.
We are switching gears, man. We are switching gears because now it's time to reveal the winners of the second round of the March Madness Best CH Tape tournament. Um, we knew this was going to be a very interesting week, just with everything going on, and with some of the matchups. A lot of conversation in the comments this week. It was very people were stressed out. People were very stressed out this week.
Very, very much so. um, Another thing I want to say, shout out to everybody because this time we had 50 people came through and voted. So
Yeah.
we had y'all rocking. Y'all definitely on board with this. Like I said originally, I was a little concerned, but definitely not anymore. And like you said, there's a lot of people talking, a lot of people saying, how is this winning? How is this one losing?
Yeah.
And it's like, hey man, and y'all were doing this like on the first day.
Yeah.
Like I think the first day we might have like 15 votes or something like that. Yeah, how's this one losing? Come on, bro. There's like 4 more days. Come on, like it could
Yeah.
change at any time.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Gotta have faith, man.
yeah, you gotta have faith. But definitely a lot of talk, a lot of voting, a lot of conversation, and that's what this is here for. This is what this is all about, you know.
Yeah, so let's just get right into it, man. We're gonna start on the right side of the bracket this week, just because I wanna end with the closest race. So starting off, awkward took on It's Charles Hamilton. Remember last week we said that a lot of people in the comments were like, I have It's Charles Hamilton making it all the way to the finals, is what they said.
Yeah, some people said that.
And then we said, you realize that awkward is the next matchup for them. Um, Awkward took that, man, 64 to 36%. What are your thoughts?
I'm not surprised. It's one of those things where it's Charles Hampton's a good tape, but like I said, it's awkward. You know, I'm like that would have been an upset for me if it's would have won. I would have been like, really?
Yeah.
Like in not a disrespectful way, but I'd be like, I would have just sworn that awkward would have won that. I just couldn't see it any other way. Like
Yeah.
it would have been one of those things where like maybe if I was a fan that only listened from like '08 to '09 and
Yeah.
didn't listen to nothing else and then just didn't connect with any other Star Chasers, then
Yeah.
I'd be like, man, I must have just like been living under a rock or something. But how everyone talks about awkward, I'm like, man, like nah, man, awkward's winning. Awkward's winning this round, you know. So
Yeah.
I'm not surprised. I figured that would happen.
Yeah, I think it may have been last week when someone was like, yeah, awkward, has a resurgence because it's being brought up online and kind of like I think we had actually talked about how certain songs were being brought up online and like randomly and people like, oh, what is this from? It's like and awkward was one of those tapes that's getting, kind of resurgence. So if that's the case, then yeah, that's a more accessible tape to most people, especially when you're talking about love. It's almost a cheat code. Like it's almost a cheat code because like it's kind of very easily accessible to anybody. Whereas though it's Charles Hamilton has a lot of bars and a lot of fun songs on there, it's just hard to beat that kind of like amazing concept that is well isn't this awkward. You know what I'm saying?
Not only that, this is the tape infamously where he's talking about Rihanna. You
Yeah.
know, so regardless of if you knew who Charles Hamilton was or not, I think most people at least know that. Like if that was a Jeopardy question, you know, that was or Jeopardy answer, then you have to say who is Charles Hamilton. You know, it. A lot of people know Charles for that. They
Yeah.
might not know him for It's, but they definitely know he had a crush on Rihanna. So and they put those two together. So
Next up was intervention taking on the L word. I put my faith in God. I said I was going with intervention. Even though I thought that L word would win just based off of again basically the exact same thing I said previously. But no, intervention took the win here, 58 to 42%.
so for me, I was the one saying, hey, shout out to intervention, but L word.
Yeah.
It's L word, man. And y'all said no, it's intervention, little homie. Y'all said sure. No, but I'm actually surprised. I'm like, wow, intervention. I think it's probably because like I didn't hear intervention when it first came out.
Mm.
'Cause I came to the Hamiltonization process a little bit later.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not one of the first couple tapes I go to when I talk about, Charles's first 8 tapes and all that.
Yeah.
So with me, I'm like, wow, let me give a sincere apology to Intervention.
Yeah.
I was not familiar with your game because there's a lot of y'all really, really, really rocking with it. I know some songs from it, but I'm like, wow, over L Word, you know? 'Cause I figured it would have been okay, L Word versus Awkward and that whole thing about, the Battle of Love. But
Right.
everyone probably was like, nah, we just need one love tape. We don't need to do both of them. Come on now. Even though they're both different love tapes, but,
Yeah.
but either way, shout out to Awkward. I was definitely wrong on that one. So I was like, wow, all right.
Yeah. We accept your apology. We accept your apology. Yeah, I just again, I love the completeness of intervention, man. It's so many different kinds of songs on there. With a lot of different topics and like subject matter. It's like there's something there's literally something there for everybody. And so Yeah, I'm glad that it was able to push through for another week. Because that's one of my jumps, man. Next up is Sonic the Hamilton took on 10 Things I Hate About Me. I think we all knew what was gonna happen here. Yeah, Sonic the Hamilton wins 64% to 36%, man. Yeah, I like Sonic the Hamilton, right? I do. I really do. I really, really do. I think it's a very important tape for me. But 10 Things I Hate About Me is to me now it sounds like it might be an underrated tape at this point.
Yeah,
Yeah,
very much so.
yeah.
Um, so I think we talked about it before. Um, and let me just quote something from 10 Things, because I did say, yeah, I think 10 Things is gonna win. Even though I'm like, yeah, I know Sonic the Hamilton is Sonic the Hamilton,
Right.
but I think, uh us having that previous listen recently and me just listening to it, um, I'll just say let me make sure I get this correct. I jump the gun too often. So no, for real, because I was like when I looked at the results, obviously I didn't say nothing, but I'm like, man, like
Yeah.
I really put a lot of chips in on 10 Things, and I was just like, I thought y'all was rocking with it as much as I was. Not saying that y'all don't like it, but I was like, I think I just had maybe a little bit of recency bias for
Yeah.
that tape where I'm like, yo, man, like 10 Things got it, and it did not. It did not at all. I definitely jumped the gun too often. I had questions, y'all had answers, and
Yeah.
they weren't the answers I was looking for, Sway. They was not the
Oh
answers I was
man.
looking for.
But yeah, yeah, it's a strong contender, man. It's gonna be tough to beat. Uh, the final and the most close race that we had this week, man. I think if I'm looking at that correctly, probably won by 2 votes. I would think. That's what happened, 2 or 3 votes. We had My Brain is Alive versus Normalcy. And just eking by with a 56% to 44% victory. My Brain is Alive, it's still alive against Normalcy, man. What are your thoughts on that one?
I figured My Brain is Alive would win, but like you said, I didn't think it'd be that close. I think it'd be more similar to how the other tapes were,
Mm,
where you have 60 to 40 basically. Yeah, 64-36 basically with a lot of them, or 58-42. I figured it'd been one of those type of deals.
yeah.
Um, but I definitely figured that My Brain's Alive would win. Of course, we're realizing there's a couple other people that are like, yo, Normalcy is my tape, my truth, that's my jam. And I feel you on that, but I think overall I'm like, yeah, it's My Brain's Alive. So I'm not surprised by that one. That one and Awkward. I was like, those two were definitely winning. I definitely would have put money on those, but the other two, I'm shocked by a little bit.
Yeah, this was the one that got the most conversation going. I'll say that. There was a lot of people like how Normalcy not winning and beating this and that kind of situation. Um all it did was just it keeps making me very excited about dropping a Normalcy episode that we have stashed away because that's gonna be interesting when we drop it. Um, but yeah, I thought that I mean Normalcy put up a great fight. It's showing me more and more how much people like the tape and it kind of gives me an insight of where they kind of entered as far as Charles Hamilton listening. I think because this is just an assumption. But I would assume if you're like an OG fan, kind of was around for the Hamiltonization process, I think you would maybe not automatically, but it's likely that you would pick My Brain is Alive over Normalcy. But if you kind of came in after the Hamiltonization process, around the Normalcy time, and then maybe you went back to listen to My Brain's Alive, you probably would pick Normalcy over that. I would assume that. That's just my guess because the styles are definitely different.
Yeah,
But it was a good battle. I'll say that. It was a great battle. I'm very excited how that one went.
definitely. Very interesting. We knew that round two was going to be very heavy with how it was going to go, but at round 3 now this one,
Yeah.
I don't even know how this one's going to go now.
Yeah, this one's okay. This is the semifinals, the final 4. We have number 1 overall seed, My Brain is Alive, taking on number 5, Sonic the Hamilton.
So I'm conflicted because I'm trying to put in my head which one do I like more, even though like technically this is more about what the fans will vote overall.
Mm-hmm.
But I really like both tapes. Sonic the Hamilton has been doing destruction right here. I feel like
Yeah.
My Brain's Alive, the tapes that it's gone against, like Normalcy is a good tape, but I feel like it's had it. I don't know, man. I don't know how I want to word this, but um I'm going to say this. Overall, if I had to pick, I'm going to say Sonic the Hamilton. I'm conflicted.
Mm-hmm.
I really want to say My Brain's Alive, but I think Sonic the Hamilton. And also, I'm thinking about what Charles said in that last blog post a while ago about how he was meticulous with this tape,
Mm-hmm.
and I think people were speaking about it. So I'm gonna say Sonic the Hamilton is going to win that one.
Uh, so again, this is about the fans, so their vote is their vote. You know what I mean? Um, but if you're asking me, I think My Brain's Live is a better tape than Sonic the Hamilton. I think overall, it's just a better tape. Is Sonic the Hamilton's concept better? Absolutely. The concept's cool. I think the songs on My Brain is Alive are just more developed and are more complete. And if you do a track side by side type of situation, I think you would probably pick more My Brain is Alive than Sonic the Hamilton. If people sat down and did it. I can't confirm that or not. Everybody's, likes are different. Um, with that being said, no one has been more dominant during this tournament so far than Sonic the Hamilton. It has been it has done what it needed to do. I would say that. I would it has done what it needed to do. Um, so with that being said, I'm gonna assume and predict that Sonic the Hamilton will probably win this. Um, but I just want to make sure my notion is made that I think My Brain is Live is the better tape.
I feel you.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where I definitely want to say My Brain's Alive, but like we said, with the results with Sonic the Hamilton, it's been crushing it. So I'm like, hey man, just yeah, I'm gonna say Sonic the Hamilton. I'm gonna stick with it.
Yeah. Then on the opposite side, we have number 2 Intervention taking on number 3. Well, isn't this awkward? I would like to quickly change what I just said. I said that Sonic the Hamilton has been the most destructive. No, actually, that's awkward because I forgot what it did to every Charles Hamilton's ex-girlfriend in the first round. I forgot about that really quickly, so I want to go ahead and reverse that. This has been the most dominant tape since the tournament started. Um, I want Intervention to win. I'm gonna be honest. I really want Intervention to take this one. I would like to sit here and tell you that it's absolutely gonna happen this week, and we're gonna see Intervention in the finals. I don't think that's gonna happen. I don't think that's gonna happen. People really like this tape, bro. People love Was It This Awkward, and I get it. I totally understand it. It's a great tape. It's a great tape. However, I just feel like Intervention is better. That's me, but that is bias. That is very strong
Yeah.
bias. But I got Awkward winning this too.
I have Awkward winning, and I just have Awkward winning. It's for this side. Now, this is what I will say. Not to try and chip anything off of Awkward. When it had to go against Charles every ex-girlfriend tape when the 95.5, that was really more of a bye week for that one. I think honestly, any tape would have had against that one, I think they probably would have won anyway. So,
Yeah.
but regardless, it's still dominated. and then also it won this week, obviously as well.
Mhm.
Um, I like awkward more than I like intervention. No, diss to intervention or to you. 'Cause I know that's one of your favorites.
Yeah.
I see it going to the finals. I've always seen awkward going to the finals.
Mhm.
What I really wanted to see was I really want My Brains Alive to win,
Mhm.
but I see awkward going to the finals.
Yeah.
I out of like, and when I looked at my one that I did where I just
Yeah.
went through everything, I definitely had awkward like straight to the finals. And then
Right.
like on the other side, I had a few other things that were like a little bit different,
Mhm.
but overall awkward I have in the finals, like bar none.
Yeah.
So I'll definitely say that. But let's say if it ends up being Sonic the Hamilton and awkward, that's going to be an interesting one. I feel like whoever it is, whoever wins on the other side versus awkward, that's just going to be
Yeah.
yeah, it's going to be a wild one because like you're picking love or you're picking I don't know intuition, you're picking trust, you're picking faith, you're picking hope, you're picking destiny. I don't know, you're picking it's something between the two. You're
Yeah.
picking, but awkward, I definitely have winning for that one.
Yeah, but don't take our word for it because the power is with y'all, man. It's your power to vote. It's your results that actually matter. So be sure to vote in the polls that Mike puts out on the account. Um yeah, and remember joining the conversation. We love talking with y'all this week. It was actually funny. Just watching y'all be really, really passionate about some of the stuff that happened this week. Um, but yeah, be sure to vote. And, as always, next week we'll have another tape to review and we'll reveal the results. We'll actually have our championship match next week, which is crazy to even think about. Um, but yeah, let's go ahead and give our socials out, man. You can definitely follow us on Twitter, StarCH Central. I start with that now because that's the difficult one.
All right.
On YouTube and TikTok, StarChaser Central. You can also follow us on individual pages. I'm at Stik around 54 on Twitter and Instagram. That's STIK around 54. Mike, where can they find you, buddy?
You can find me on Instagram at the Mike Jackson, Mike Jackson on Twitter because I don't call it X. It's been a while since I said that.
Mhm.
But on Twitter, you can find me at Mike D Jackson, Mike D Jackson, 1D, 2 E's. One thing I want to say, add this on here. So I know you don't know, but I've been watching it for the TikTok, y'all. I know we kind of mentioned it before, but it's going to be a definite, and this is like I'm announcing this now. We're probably going to be like distancing ourselves from the TikTok, and this is the reason why. Because anything I've put up of Charles's music, even when like I try to put it up and disguise it in a certain way, I don't know if y'all are ever on TikTok. We don't have that many followers on TikTok, like really none at all. But we have people that listen to it and like it. But when I do these sample videos, when I do like the now playing, where I'm just playing Charles's songs, anything. TikTok, I think almost a month ago now, had that whole situation where it's like, hey, if you guys aren't doing this, we're gonna take a bunch of these songs off the catalog, so you
Mhm.
can't play them on TikTok. So it seems like if it's not a Charles song I'm playing, a sample that he's used, basically every video now it seems like it's getting muted. So at this point, it's like there's no real point of me putting those videos up on TikTok. So I
Mhm.
won't delete it, but I'll just keep whatever's on there. If you guys still want to go to TikTok, you can. But all those videos I'm putting on TikTok are going on the YouTube. They're on YouTube Shorts. So still go over there and look at those if you want to. And obviously it's a lot easier because you're already on YouTube. You're watching this on YouTube now. You just go to the short section and see the now playing. You can see the now, the sample videos, who did Charles Hamilton sample and all that. Um, but I had put that out there, so appreciate the like 8 people that were subscribed, but just go to the YouTube Shorts videos. But yeah, that's the Mike Jackson and Mike D Jackson. But also make sure you guys are checking out Charles Hamilton on Twitter, Charles Hamilton. Make sure you're checking out his blog, enterthehamilton.blogspot.com. Well, sorry, enterthehamilton.blogspot.com. Sorry, I want to keep saying at, but anyway. And then also at his YouTube, the talented Mr. Hamilton. Just make sure you're checking him out. Obviously, come back and let us know how you guys are feeling about how the rounds are going, how this Final Four is going to go. It just let us know how you're feeling.
Yeah, and quick ad, for those YouTube shorts, if there's something that y'all wanna see, kind of wanna see us do, like little extra stuff, just let us know. We can kind of try to brainstorm that. But yeah, like I said, go to YouTube Shorts. Mike does a lot of good stuff over there. Yeah. We'll be back with a take next week. Not sure what we'll do, but we'll talk about it probably right after this. But any words of encouragement for people before we head out?
So this, oh, something simple. Not saying people celebrate it, but this weekend coming up is St. Patty's. Some people they go out and drink, some people don't. Some people just drink anyway. This is kind of green, so it's not really reason I wore it. It's just because it's clean. If you guys are going to be going out and doing anything, just be careful, be responsible, have fun, enjoy your weekend, so be safe.
Because it's the weekend and you will be stuck there until Monday. So
Yeah.
just be responsible. But we are logging out, man, of the StarCHaser Central. We always encourage you to follow your dreams
and reach for the stars.
Have you